Thank you for the opportunity to engage further on the Ajenkwa budget that was presented to Parliament on the 18th of, was it 17th or 18th? On the 17th of November 2020. The highlight of the budget was to create a sustainable entrepreneurial nation focusing on job creation and fiscal consolidation. And clearly, if you go through the budget that we presented, you can see that government is committed to ensuring fiscal consolidation of our finances and debt sustainability. So because of COVID, our fiscal debt was about 2015 in 2020. And if you add the FinSec and energy sector bailout and all those things that we did, in 2021, we have reduced that to 12.1%. Now, in 2022, the target is to bring it further down to 7.4%. And for the first time in about 3 years, government is looking forward to post a positive primary balance. What that means is that government is serious and committed to reducing our borrowing. We are committed to sustaining the fiscal consolidation agenda to come back to the fiscal responsibility threshold of 5% as the act which has been suspended requires of government to do. In fact, the target is to achieve 5% or below by 2024. But because we are now at 7.4 next year, we strongly believe that we may be able to achieve that target even before 2024. So the main issue also that the budget focused on was on jobs. And in the 2022 budget, government is allocating about 10 billion cedis for the Youth Start program. We know that young people want opportunities for jobs in our country. And we believe, as a government, we believe that the solution to job creation in our country lies in the creativity and innovation of our young people. And that if we can create the necessary enabling environment for them, they will be in a position to create those jobs for themselves and for others. And to achieve this, government is allocating 10 billion Ghana cedis to support the Youth Start program, to open economic opportunities for young people in our country. And through the NEIP, the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, and the GEA, which used to be the NBSSI, government will be implementing this in partnership with participating financial and banking institutions in our country. So it's a good message and a very big hope to the young people of our country that finally, government is not just promising opportunities for young people. Government has committed 10 billion Ghana cedis to ensure that our youth have access to patient capital and very soft financing arrangement for them to be able to have financing to execute their business ideas. So that is one of the best announcements that as young people of our country, we are so proud about, that indeed His Excellency the President has kept faith with young people, and he's not just talking about lack of job opportunities for them, but he's committed to ensuring that we can now encourage the young people to create jobs. These opportunities is also for existing SMEs and existing businesses who have the potential to scale up. And so the same arrangement will go for existing businesses that want to scale up to also source funding. And today, government is also announcing that we are not waiting for our university students to come out of schools to look for jobs. We are sending part of this money to the various university campuses as endowment funds, and we will expect the universities to match up these funds. And so if you're a student, either first year or second year or third year on university, and you have a business idea, you can go through a process and get support from that endowment fund and create your own businesses. And we are further engaging the Minister of Education and the university leadership to come out with a program that will allow a student who benefits from such an endowment fund to even take off a year or two to go and pursue his business ideas and come back later to graduate. Because the objective now is to even train students to become CEOs before they graduate with their first degrees in our country. And that's a big hope and a big announcement for the future of our youth in our country. And we strongly believe that the many ideas that our young people have, and with the advantage of AFTA, where we are encouraging them to have access not just to financing but also to bigger markets, not just the 30.8 million population of Ghana, but to look at the 1.2 billion population on the African continent. So that is another big hope of announcement that came through this budget. So we are not just consolidating our finances, we are not just ensuring that our debt burden comes down. And in fact, if you check, the entire borrowing for 2022 has reduced to 750 million euros in terms of the external financing that we want to do. This year, in 2023, you remember, we went for about 3 billion euro as euro bonds. In 2022, that is reduced to about 750 million euro bonds. So it speaks to the commitment of government to reduce our debt burden and to ensure that we are able to respond to the needs of the people. However, for government to achieve all these interventions, for instance, government is committed to constructing more roads. Government is committed to all its flagship programs, including NAPCO, Planting for Food and Jobs, the IPEP programs under 1 million per constituency, all the flagship programs that government have announced, we are committed to ensuring that we achieve it. And to be able to achieve all these things means that government will require revenue. Okay? Government will require revenue. And so if you look at how government went about ensuring that we get revenues, we have not taken our eyes off the objective of government to increase production in our country and cut down on taxes. If you remember, under the NDC government, they taxed almost everything, including condoms and cutlasses and kayaye in our country. The NPP government has repealed or removed about 17 different taxes since it came into power. And today, in 2022 budget, we have further removed 5 taxes or reduced them in this budget that we presented. And the only tax that we introduced in this budget was one, the levy, the ye levy. And I want to take you through how government is raising these revenues to be able to finance government programs and activities. So the 2 years tax relief on African prints for textile manufacturers to stabilize industry. Government has its eyes on promoting the wearing of local fabric, the African wear. And so we have given them further 2 years of tax relief so that those who print African textiles can have more productivity in terms of their production. We have also limited the flat rate threshold to retailers with annual turnover from 200,000 Ghana cedis to 500,000 Ghana cedis to address the inequality. Okay, so we have expanded the opportunity for more SMEs to benefit from the tax arrangement. And even the benchmark values that we are seeking to review or to restore the 50% that we took, we are looking at AGI. And because local industries are dying and suffering from that reduction that we gave from the import levies, it is making local production or goods that are produced locally uncompetitive on the market. And so government restored the benchmark values to promote and strengthen local industry. and that has to be clear. So we have our eyes on production. We want to make sure that through our policies and taxation, we are promoting productivity in our country. We have also reduced the 3% export. So currently, if you are exporting unprocessed gold by small-scale miners in Ghana, you have to pay about 3% withholding tax or export tax. Government has reviewed that to 1.5% so that we can encourage more people to be able to export gold from Ghana. Okay. We also implementing a common platform for the property rate administration to enhance property rate collections and accountability. We all know that the district assemblies rely a lot on IGF, but unfortunately they are not able to collect enough IGF, and government is coming out with a special platform, a common platform for the administration of IGF. That platform will make it possible for us to do valuation of properties in every location in Ghana and give a more standard tariff arrangement for property rate collection in our country. We have also zero-rated tolls on all public roads and bridges in Ghana. All tolling points will be removed. They have already been removed. And as we speak, the road minister, in his capacity as the road minister, and under the authority of the Tolls Act, the 1973 Act, NRCD Act 153, okay? Under that authority and under the 1992 Constitution, if you read Article 297 Clause D, it gives the road minister the authority to make such administrative decisions. And please, let's make it clear. The road minister did not repeal the law. He only took administrative decision to suspend the collection of the road toll. He will follow up to Parliament if he wants to revoke or repeal the law. So let's get it clear. It is an administrative decision to suspend the collection of the road toll. And I've stated that the law allows him, the Constitution permits him as a minister of road to do that. And he has done nothing wrong in law by taking those steps. And we want to put that on record. So if you calculate all the interventions I have talked about, over 5 of them are either removing taxes or reducing them so that we can have some relief. For instance, the road toll. Some people have questioned, why are you removing the road toll? So let me just explain it a little bit. First of all, we found the road toll to be inequitable. We found it to be inefficient, and we found the road toll to be impeding productivity. These are the 3 reasons why we decided. So when we say the road toll is inequitable, what we mean is that if you come to the plush areas, the residential areas in Accra, let's say cantonments, Laboni, East Legon, Adjirigano, even where we are now here in Adabraka, or Asalam Down, have you seen any road tolls here? But check the kind of properties we have here and the kind of people who can afford these places. They don't pay road toll. But if you go to Kaswa, Temamoto Way, Ashamai, and all the locations of the motorway, Etiwa, if you come to my constituency in Kubasi, that's where the road toll was located. Okay? If you cross it 10 times from Kaswa to Malam, if you are a trotro driver and you are using that road, 20 times in, 20 times out, multiply that in a day. That's how much the poor person pays. But if you live in Adjirigano and you are coming to town and going back home, please, are you going to pay any road toll? So the rich were enjoying from the road toll and the poor were paying more. So we thought that it was inequitable, and so we should scrap it and put it on something that can cover everybody. And that is why, in fact, the whole year, Ghana was getting 78 million Ghana cedis from the road tolls that we collect in our country. And so people have asked, what will happen to those who were working there? They will all keep their jobs. Nobody is going home. We are only reassigning them, okay? Nobody is going home because we have changed or removed road toll. Then others have asked about the foreign trucks that come from Burkina and Mali into Ghana. They are not part of these exemptions. but their trucks go through a weighing scale system. So there's still opportunity for Ghana to collect any charges we want to collect from them for the usage of our roads. So that has also not been varied. And so there's no cause for concern on that. Of course, we know that the traders, the petty traders around the area will suffer initial disruption from their trade. And that's very unfortunate. But of course, as government, we are also concerned about the numerous accidents that they have to suffer. Some get injuries and sometimes even death because cars were running over them when they turn those places into markets. So we will only appeal to them to have relocation of their businesses in this short time that they have to go through that. So that is the essence of the equity that we were talking about in the 78 million. And then finally, the unproductivity of the whole system, where you have to be in traffic for 30 minutes to 1 hour just to go and pay 1 cedi. Okay? If you check the productivity cost and the fuel you burn just to go and pay 1 cedi, we found that it was unproductive and hampering the objective of government. And we believe that we can put that on the new levy which we have proposed called the Yi levy. Now, the Yi levy, let me talk about it. The digital tax levy that government is introducing. And it is the only tax that we have introduced in this 2022 budget. Only one tax that we introduced. Now, before government introduced the Yi levy tax, in the past 1.5 years, government put a consultant and a team together to do a research to advise government on how we can introduce a digital tax. They spoke to about 10,000 Ghanaians and received feedback on how such a tax could be introduced so that we do not disrupt the growth of digital progression in our country. The report stated that about 40% of Momo users in Ghana, because the digital tax will affect Momo transactions, about 40% of Momo users in Ghana were people who sent monies below 100 Ghana cedis a day, about 40%. So we found that group to be very sensitive. And His Excellency the Vice President has indicated that he does not want us to introduce Momo tax to affect the poor. So per the research, we were able to identify that poor group. And they were about 40% of Momo users. So in this Yi levy that we have introduced, we have exempted all the 40% category. They are not part of this levy. How are we going to implement that? Every Momo transaction that you transfer up to 100 Ghana cedis, we are not taking any levy on it. So the first 100 cedis of every Momo transaction in a day is exempted from this, so that we cover all the 40 and even more. Because beyond the 40%, above 100, the first 100 Ghana cedis is exempted, even if you are above the 40%. So everybody gets to benefit from the first 100 cedis. Okay? So we have exempted that group. Now, when you are going to collect your Momo, the receiver, he is also not paying anything. The receiver of your Momo is not paying anything. Okay? He's also exempted. It's not like if you are withdrawing, if I have sent you Momo, let's say you sent lawyer Boabia Samoa sent 500 Ghana cedis to his grandmother in the village. The grandmother, when he's taking the 500 Ghana cedis, is not paying anything. Okay? Now, lawyer Samoa, who is sending the money, the first 100 cedis on that 500 is exempted. So he will be charged the 1.75% on the 400 cedis of the money that he sent. Please, is that clear? This is what we want to explain to people. So on the Momo transaction, your first 100, okay, so your first 100 cedis transaction is exempted. So if you send money to your mother in the village, she is not going to pay anything. All Momo recipients in Ghana are not going to be levied. You are not going to pay anything on this levy. Now, it is only the sender who will be charged 1.75% of the transaction he's doing. But even that, the first 100 cedis is exempted. So if you send 200 Ghana cedis, first 100 cedis is not covered. You are going to pay 1.75% on the next 100 cedis. So even though you send 200, the Momo will apply, the Momo levy will apply on the second 100 Ghana cedis. Secondly, Ghana has been able to adopt what we call the interoperability, where you can connect your Momo account to your bank account, or from your bank account to your Momo account. All transactions from your Momo account to your bank account, you don't pay anything. And if you transfer money from your bank account to your Momo account, you are not paying anything. It's not covered. It is when you transfer Momo from your account to another account, that is when it will apply. And then we have traditional bank transfers and checks. All those are not covered. But if you transfer to a Momo, or the traditional transfers that they do, the bank have charges on those transfers. The transaction will affect the bank transactions, the bank fees, not the customer's funds. Okay? So let's speak to the customer. Your funds that you are transferring is exempted from this levy. The money you transfer from your account to your Momo is also exempted. And all the 40% that are covered, the 40% are also not covered. Now, merchant payments using the POS and QR code, they are seen as digital transactions, so they will be covered. So if you use a QR code or you are using a POS to make payment, it is covered. Okay, and then e-commerce and online payments, they will be charged for payments for goods and services. But your bank transfers and checks are not covered. And when you transfer from your own account to, it is not covered. Now, these are some of the important questions that we have heard from people about how the levy is going to be applied. And so, I just want to assure you that we are going to even further engage more people whilst we put the regulation together, because we have heard suggestions from people that at a point of a certain amount we should cap it. That proposal has been received, but decision is not taken yet. When we take that decision, we'll announce it to you so that collectively we can build a system that is acceptable to all of us so that we can build a good country. Now, I beg to say this, that it is not with joy that government will impose tax. But the truth of the matter is that there's no nation in the world that can be built without taxes. We need, as a citizen or as people, to contribute to our nation in terms of helping the country to raise resources so that they can spend in all the things that we expect government to do. Build us good roads, build us hospital infrastructure, build us good schools, provide jobs for the young people. And all these things can be done when we are able to help government to raise revenues to address these issues for us. So government is also pleading to the entire citizens in the country that we acknowledge the hardship and the difficult times that we are in. This is the first time in America that in decades inflation has risen to 6.5%. There used to be negative inflation. In the UK, they said in 30 years, the first time inflation has hit 4.1%. Okay? So they are also crying. Food that used to sell about $29 in America is selling for $60. So there is general hardship. When you imported, Ghana is an import a lot, we import a lot from China. 40-footer container freight as of December 2020 was $3,000. Today, it ranges between $13,000 to $16,000. So there's a big disruption to the global supply chain, and there's global inflation and hardship. And government acknowledges that difficulty, and that is why we are also taking steps to remove some of the levies that will bring hardship. But we are pleading that Ghanaians should agree with government to accept only one tax, which is the e-levy tax, so that we can work together. The benefit of the e-levy tax is that one of the expert advice to government every time is that expand the tax base, make it equitable. This Momo levy affects almost everybody in Ghana, both the formal sector and the informal sector. Momo is one thing that though lawyers use, doctors use, judges use, farmers use, carpenters use, electricians use. So it is one thing that it expands to everybody in the country. But taxes must be progressive. So we are targeting not the lower end users of the Momo. We are protecting all the 40% users of Momo who do not transfer more than 100 Ghana cedis. So even though we want to reach everybody, we are still finding a way to protect a certain category of people. So please, let's allow this equitable process to come and help expand the tax base. Let's help government to raise enough revenues so that we'll be able to reach out to the nation in terms of providing quality good roads. Now, the assurance that many people have expressed concern that, yes, we are not against paying this tax, but we want to hear from government that when we pay this 1.75 levy, we want to see how government is going to apply these levies to our roads and give jobs to young people. And I want to, on behalf of government, give you that firm assurance that this e-levy that we are replacing, we are going to see aggressive road construction in this country. Because the road toll was giving us 78 million, I've told you. This levy is giving us about 6.9 billion in a year. So imagine when contractors bring their certificates, it takes a long while and government is not able to pay them. So they don't go back to work. Where is the revenues? When we all accept this, what it will mean is that contractors can be paid on time and more roads can be constructed for our country. So we need your support. I have told you about the Youth Start and how young people are being addressed in terms of their financing opportunities to create their own jobs in this country. And so we strongly believe that when you support government in this fight or in this request, government will reciprocate by applying these resources to the productive centers of our economy and make sure that we improve the welfare of our citizens. I thank you very much for the opportunity to address you today.